Welcome to the Staffing Playbook podcast, the podcast where we uncover the best kept secrets in staffing and recruiting and help you turn insights into action. Welcome back to the Staffing Playbook podcast. I am your host, Stephen Farrell. Today, we're going to be uncovering some of the best kept secrets in social selling. We're going to help you turn insights into actions. If your cold emails are colder than my leftovers from last week, you're in the right place.
All right. And hello, everyone. I am Genevieve Bourgeois, and I am the marketing co-pilot. And I am so pumped to be here for this one because we are going to be tackling one of the hottest topics in staffing today, social selling.
Woo, that's right. So as you can see on your screen here, we are joined by the one and only Mike Bradbury, co-founder, chief strategist at Type Marketing. Mike spent over a decade at Randstad leading marketing strategy, and now he works with staffing firms to help them turn marketing into true sales partners. Welcome, Mike.
All right. Welcome, Mike. But here's a couple of things. Mike is known for his practical, no-fluff approach to building trust in real business relationships, all right? And doing it all online. He's got a system that helps teams go from just another, cold leftover, cold message, to staying on top of mind within their ideal candidate base.
Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Ducky, as I say. Apparently, I'm the only one other than me and my grandmother who say that, but, Ducky.
Ducky. Okay, I like that.
I'll use it.
What's that?
Oh, I said I'll use it. Like, I'm Ducky.
Bring it back, You gotta I think it died in 1945. People stopped saying it, but it needs a revival.
Yeah, I don't even know what Ducky means. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Well, guys, really excited to have Mike here. I had the pleasure of meeting Mike about a month ago at Dan Morey's Staffing Sales Summit, and he had such an awesome presentation. And afterwards, I'm talking to him, and I'm just like, dude, I wrote down so many notes. Like, what a cool presentation! I've got a lot to take back to the team. And then I asked Mike a sensitive question that lived in his brain rent-free for a weekend before he came back to me with a really good response, which actually taught me something new. Mike, what was that question that I asked you after your presentation?
I think it was, why should someone with only 1,500 followers be giving a presentation on social selling? That was so mean. You were very kind. You were very kind. You didn't ask it during the presentation. I appreciated that, not putting me on the spot in front of all those people. But a legit question that I'm sure more people had in their head, as everyone's got their phone out and they're like, "Who's this joker talking to me right now?"
Yeah, and you were really kind with your response. You were just like, well, that's a really good question. I have to think about that and get back to you. And you did. Yes, you actually got back to me, sent me a private message, and then you posted it on LinkedIn, which we talked about. And what you shared was really eye-opening for me, because it wasn't about the number of followers. It's the number of qualified followers, your ideal audience, ideal customer, small group of ideal customers that'll likely purchase from you has much more depth than someone with 9,000, 10,000 followers. And I thought, you know what? You're right, Mike.
I think, if you do the math on if you had 1,000 people who followed you and liked what you had to say, and 5% of them come into market every month, what is that? 50 people, and then is it? Yes.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Sure. 50 people, and 75% of them you're on the mental list, right? You're going to have dozens of meetings every month with just 1,000 people, but it's hard to get to that 1,000 people, right? It's not like an easy thing. It's not something that happens overnight. You're not trying to go viral. It has to do with building relationships and actually talking to people. But that's the idea, right? Like, get on the mental list of 1,000 people, and you will have clients all day calling you, blowing you.
Yeah, and we're actually going to talk about that mental list today. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's introduce today's topic. Are we ready?
Let's.
Social selling part 2. So part 1, John Viev and I, we gave you some best practices, some easy tips to start social selling. That conversation was inspired by the conversation I had with Mike, as well with Diane Prince. And one of the action items that came out of this topic, our last conversation, was doing what I call a social media sales blitz. So traditional sales blitz, you got everybody in a sales rep's territory, and you're knocking doors, having fun, drumming up a bunch of leads, and it's not really effective. It's just the best part of social blitz or a sales blitz is just that camaraderie with your team members, getting to know each other, having some fun. But when it comes to social media, I thought there's got to be a way to do a sales blitz on social media. And so we did just that. 45 minutes as a team, we got together and we went and private messaged our ideal customers. We connected with them, we engaged with them, we liked, we commented, had conversations. Out of that, we had 85 new connection requests accepted as a team of 5. We had 16 direct messages sent that turned into 5 ongoing conversations. As well as 2 discovery meetings. So that was one day, 45-minute social media sales blitz on LinkedIn. And I mean, the proof was in the pudding. The numbers don't lie. And so now I'm a believer, Mike. And today we want to get into the playbook step by step for our audience to do exactly what my team did and beyond that. So I want to jump right into social selling with the first question. So Mike, let's keep it simple. What is social selling? It gets tossed around a lot, but what does that actually mean to you? How is it different from just people that do the traditional outreach on LinkedIn, hoping for the best?
Yeah, it's not cold calling, right? It's not, or cold emailing necessarily, where you're trying to immediately get a pitch. The way that I think about social selling is you're trying to build an audience that is willing to have a conversation with you and that thinks that you're smart. And I think those are that's the easiest way for me to put it.
Did you say thinks that you're smart?
Yep. Like, this guy, he's worth talking to. He could bring value to my life.
He knows what he's talking about.
Exactly, right? Like, that's
fake it before you make it.
Yeah, you can do that too. Let ChatGPT be your guide. But that's kind of it. You're out there, you're connecting with people, and this is the other thing that I say that I have to remind myself to say. It's a networking event that you're going to every day. So instead of waiting weeks between networking events where you actually get to talk to somebody, think about LinkedIn as a networking event that you go to every day, and let that be your guide. Because that's the people who are actually on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn. And we're here because we want to learn about business, a lot of us.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Like, I want insights, I want data, I want case studies, I want to read things that make me better at my job. And I'm actually here to do that. And if you're going to sell me something in between that, sure, great. Sure. But add to that community. Give me something that I can work with that adds value to me as a business person. And if you think about that, like, that's what you're doing at a networking event as well. No one goes to a networking event and they're like, "Hey, I'm Mike. Do you need? Are you hiring right now?" If you do, then they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, hang on, I'll be right back."
Right. Hi, Mike. I hope this message finds you well. Do you mind booking a discovery meeting with me?
Right?
You don't say that in person.
That's not a thing you do in person. So to me, it's all about that. It's you're in a networking event.
So you just shared three things when I said, social selling. What comes top of mind is build an audience, establish yourself as an authority, or make people think you're an authority. No, you really should be an authority. And then treat LinkedIn like a networking event as you would in person.
Yeah, and I think if you follow those three ideas, that you're got a leg up on everybody else already who's out there, and it's just like pitching everyone left and right that they connect with.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's fantastic. It's just 3 simple steps, and it sounds like consistency is key.
Oh, 100%. Yes. You got to stay out there. You got to stay visible. You have to be consistently visible on LinkedIn in order to get anything out of it, because it's about getting on someone's mental list, right? And I know we're going to talk about this in a second, but the consistency is repeat exposure, right? Yes, there's a psychological phenomenon called mere exposure effect. And mere exposure effect is this phenomenon where people trust things merely by seeing them more often. And it's part of the reason why if they say if you repeat a lie enough, people will believe it. That's why, because it's true. We will, if we can access a memory really, really fast, we believe that memory is credible and true. And likewise, if we see someone enough, we start to believe that they are whatever they say they are, right? And we remember them more. Mere exposure effect. So consistency, staying in front of people, tap into human psychology. That's what you can do on LinkedIn. Is you can stay in front of people all the time, and they think of you first, and they associate you with the problem that you fix.
I love that. I love that. So, all right, let's go and talk about because you just mentioned the mental shortlist, and I'm impatient at this point because, all right, you've talked about this. I want to learn more about this. And so I need to really understand, and I know other people are going to find this valuable as well, about like how buyers are they already have this mental shortlist of vendors before they even start the search. But so in your approach in how you do this, why is it so important to get on that list? And how can other staffing professionals do the same with intention?
Gosh, so yeah, the mental list, the mental short list, right? It's your grocery list for B2B marketers or for B2B buyers, and everyone's got one. It varies from service to service, but you have a mental short list of I'm using this staffing company today, and my last job they had me using this other staffing company. That's a mental short list. There's big brand. I see their name everywhere. They got storefronts and whatnot. I know who they are. Typically, people have a short list of like 3 to 5 companies that they know of. And what a study of 1,200 B2B buyers concluded a couple of years ago was that 90% of people, even after doing research, right? So like, let's say that you realize that your staffing vendor sucks and you need to switch. And so now you go to Google and you're like, staffing companies near me. That's your research. 90% of people will end up not picking whoever they researched. They end up just picking from the mental list, right? So 85% of people have a mental list. 90% of people pick from the mental list. That means that 77% of all purchases are happening from the mental list. And if you're not on the mental list, then you're vying with only 23% of purchases. It's bonkers. And that's why it's so difficult to get started as a staffing salesperson, is if you're not, you don't have that leg up. It's a lot easier for salespeople who started Ronstadt and Adecco and Robert Half to get a leg up, because they have the advantage that they might be on the mental list and that brand might be on the mental list, and your small staffing company doesn't have that advantage. And so you have to create it for yourself. That's why it's so important to get onto that list.
Yeah,
That's
the mental list is super fascinating, and I like the image you shared. I wish we could share it today on the screen, but it was, a play on the Mentalist, the TV show. But that mental list, those first day, firms, what we really need to get clear on is how you can get onto that short list, that mental list, because you're right. All consumers behave this way. It's like, especially as an HR manager, you're looking at those firms that that you trust, that you like, right? That you've just seen, their content more than anyone else, and so you're just naturally attracted to that because you're looking for the process to be short and as painless as possible when you're moving, from one agency to the next or adding another agency.
Yeah, and if you want to know how to get on the mental list, I think the best way to know is to understand how humans learn, because that's what we're doing when we have a brand, when we add something to our mental short list, we're learning a brand. The same way that you learn that if you have a triangle with a right angle and two of the sides, that you can figure out what the third side is. Right? Like, and what tool do you use? Pythagorean theorem, right? And why would I know that? How on earth would I know that? Like, that's not, but it's a tool. It fixes a problem. And I learned what that tool is in order to fix it. And now it's stuck in my brain, right? And I wouldn't go to some other tool to figure out how to do it.
And you're not saying salespeople are tools.
Some are. I don't know. Have you met? How many salespeople have you met? But we are, right? We all are. We're tools that solve problems for people, and your prospective client has to learn that you are the tool to solve the. I don't know how we got down this road. These are the wrong words, but that's it, man. Like, you're trying to figure out, your prospective customer has to think, I have a problem that needs to be solved, and this salesperson is the person I know can solve that problem. And you have to get there, without being their best friend, or without, being the person that they have drinks with at the country club. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like you have to build, that authenticity right there, like being a human here. Hey, I'm here. I have a solution for you. I can go and fix this. Like, I can be the tool to fix this gear, essentially, or that problem, if we're going to break it down like that. And then also making sure that you have like visibility out there and being consistent. It sounds like those are your key elements for success. So with that being noted, can you kind of break down how all of those break like and play into an actual like building of real trust with potential prospects and potential customers?
Yeah, so let's get into we'll get out of theory and into like the step-by-step stuff.
We're going to do play by play.
Yes, I'll give you the play-by-play. So the play-by-play it's 3 steps, where, oh God, it's not 3 steps. The first thing that you need to do is you need to build your own prospect list. And this needs to be a prospect list that is, I like to start with 250 to 500 people. The prospect list is a list of people who you're going to be able to solve their problem uniquely and better than anyone else in the market can. And those are people who you have a great story to tell to. Once you get them on the phone, or if you get them in a DM, that you can say something like, hey, I've worked with 25 other X companies like yours, would love to share what I've learned from those companies with you. I think you might find that conversation valuable. And that's the type of story you want to be able to present. Once you have that list of people, now you need to optimize your profile so that people who are on that list know what you're about, because your profile is your webpage. And before they go to your company webpage, before they go to your LinkedIn company, they're going to go to your profile to look at you and make sure that you are not going to be a giant waste of time. And so you need to have a optimized profile in order to do that. Got to make sure your picture looks right. Got to make sure your headline's right. Your about section, your experience section reads like a case study and not like a resume. Those are the things that you need to figure out. And they need to be written for that audience, that list who you are targeting. So once you're prepared to do outreach, then the playbook is very simple. You go through that list of people and you find out who's active on LinkedIn. The ones who are active, you like their posts and their comments, and then you comment on their posts or you reply to one of their comments so that they see your face. That's the visibility part. That's the mere exposure effect, is that they actually see your face. You see your face in their notification pop up, and they see your face on their comments, and they see you and they know that you are here to provide value to the community and not to pitch them. Once you've liked and you've commented, you've created that kind of visibility, they remember your face, now you connect. Don't connect beforehand. If you connect after you do these two things, your connection rate goes up, and you can get 60% connection rates instead of 20% connection rates. And it's that mere exposure effect. Just by seeing your face, you're more trusted, and they can recall it. So you're going to like, you're going to comment, and then you're going to connect, and you're going to message. And if you do those things, right, if you follow this playbook and you connect with 60% of those people who are active on LinkedIn, then you could keep doing what you've always done, and you could pitch them. And what we call a name for it on LinkedIn, what the LinkedIn community has dubbed it, pitch slap. Right? So you can just go on in and slide into their DMs and pitch slap them. And if you do that, then you can get meetings that way. It's not the best way to get meetings, and you're going to turn a lot of people off, and people that you wanted to get on your mental list are going to be completely turned off by that, and they're not going to want to talk to you again. And the next time that you DM them, they're going to be like, this guy's a salesperson, I don't want to talk to him. There's no value here.
So treat it like a networking event minus the MLM networking event where you're pitching.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And if you do that, if you have that conversation, if you follow that playbook of, like, comment, message, then you can start to get on people's mental lists, and you can start to build a list of prospects who are really interested in talking to you because they know that you are going to give them some value.
Yeah. No, those are really good tips. So what I've heard is build your prospect list, identify who that, ideal customer profile is for you. Connect with, first optimize your profile, because they're going to look at that. Make sure it doesn't read like a resume, but read more like a case study. Look who's active on LinkedIn out of your prospect list, engage with them, like, comment, then send a connection request, right? Mm-hmm. Then later you can possibly send a message, but not a pitch slap, as you mentioned. And so I think those are fantastic tips. When I think about targeting, back to that ideal audience, that your prospect list, I think most salespeople are guilty thinking everyone is a potential customer. And it could be like here in Utah, we have 18,000 companies that are the ideal customer for staffing. That doesn't mean all 18,000 are using staffing, let alone want to use staffing. And so how do you, narrow down and define the right people to connect with?
I usually look at the companies that I'm doing business with, or that my clients are doing business with. I want to see, because you can see patterns in there, and you can say, all right, when we work with a company that is this size, they're a little bit too big, they have a VMS, I don't like working in VMSs, and so I'm going to stay away from that kind of company. And if I work with somebody who's this size, who's really small, then I only get one contractor a year, and it's nice, but it's not sustainable, not scalable. What I want is the Goldilocks client, and they're going to be of a certain size with a certain industry where I have a story that I can tell that's really good because I have 10 other clients that I've already done this for. And those are the people that and I can provide the most insight to them too, right? Like I can provide the most value to this client because I have 10 other clients that are just like them, and I can provide advice and guidance based upon what I'm seeing with these very similar clients.
Got it.
Right? That's how I would do that. Look at your existing clients and then that love you, and find more of them.
Yeah, and you know, on that note, Genevieve, I'm thinking, you know, if you have someone in the marketing team, you know, LinkedIn has one of their ad tools, so you can do what's called a lookalike audience. And so, to your point, Mike, maybe you partner with marketing and say, here's a list of all of our current customers, and then, you know, feed this into LinkedIn's ad manager and build a lookalike audience, and then we can maybe pull some of that to go and start connecting with that same type of audience, as well as targeted ads.
Yeah, and you can 100%. Oh, sorry.
No, 100%. Oh no, you're fine, Mike. You're the guest. You go.
I just, you know, anyone who's ever worked with me will tell you that my favorite sound in the world is my own voice. So, not a lot.
Well, you have a nice voice, Mike.
Well, I appreciate that. I also think that.
All right, I can't with you two. No, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, with a lot of our retargeting efforts and things like that, it's building those lookalike audiences. I mean, that's something that we're actively doing on the marketing side. But like, can people actually go and do that, like, based off of, like, rather than it being just like a company, but with their personal page?
Well, so on LinkedIn actually has a really cool advertising tool that we're like off of the a little bit of the social selling, but it is and it's not. They have a really cool advertising tool that I don't know exists in other social platforms, and it's called Thought Leader Ads. And Thought Leader Ads are ads where if you are a profile that's connected to a company, so like I'm connected to Type Marketing, when I post, Mike Bradbury, Type Marketing can then sponsor my post and can boost my post to my ideal clients. And what I end up doing is I make a list of the companies that I want to stay in front of and I want to get on their mental list. And so I just make this list of companies and then load it into LinkedIn, and then Type Marketing advertises my posts to my target list of companies.
Brilliant.
And so in that way, and what I can end up doing is if I know people who are active on LinkedIn, because I'm doing this process, then I can basically I can break my pitch up into my posts, and I just post my pitch, and then I advertise my pitch to my prospective clients that I've talked to on LinkedIn, and they see me and they see what I can do, but they do it in a very authentic, organic way, or what feels like that, through these thought leader ads.
Aren't you glad I asked that question, Stephen?
Very glad. I wrote all of that down.
No, I think that's a fantastic approach. But okay, so I kind of want to go circle back to something really quickly, because you did go and talk about profiles. Now, we all see a whole bunch of like open to work or we are hiring banners, which are pretty vague, right? So what are a few practical ways that staffing professionals can make their profiles actually better to help support their outreach efforts?
Sure. So I think the first thing to do is make sure your photo is good, and that, yes, like actually, mine is like cropped really well, specifically, and the way that the way that I think about it is my profile picture is going to shrink as I like things. When you pop up in the notification tab. It's a much smaller picture. When I comment, it's a smaller picture. When I like something on the post, it's a teeny tiny picture. And so the human brain is really, 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 really good at recognizing human faces. And anybody who has a child will tell you that, or confirm that. So what I like to do is have it like very much focused up on my face. I like high contrast, well lit. You should be able to recognize my picture when it's teeny tiny on that on your post after I like something, as well as when you're on my profile and looking at it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is your headline. Your headline's everywhere. Your headline is that little piece of text underneath your face on your profile. And that headline shows up when you comment, and it shows up when you like someone. And really importantly, when you send a connection request, it shows up too. And so that headline needs to be you need to put a lot of intention and thought behind that headline. I like it to give a little bit of personality. I want the headline to show, again, that I'm a human and I'm not threatening to you and I'm not going to pitch you. In that vein, if you're a salesperson watching this, then I also avoid saying business development or sales rep or whatever you're saying in your headline, because there's no clearer giveaway to me that you're about to pitch me than to say that you're the head of business development or whatever. Alternatively, you can say things like, I really love, or what I'm passionate about building teams, building great teams, or something like that, right? Something that you actually like. Make sure you're authentic. Don't just say something to say something, but be authentic about what you're passionate about in this industry, and use that as a headline. But you get I think like the first 60 or 40 characters are of your headline are what come through in that connection request. So make sure those ones count, and as well. Say your most important thing up front.
I can see how many people have denied because it says sales development or something like that. No, I'm serious. And then next thing you know, it's like, hey, I see that you didn't accept this, and then they're trying to pitch me. So that's great.
We all know it. I don't want to be pitched by my friends to make me go out on a Saturday night, let alone somebody trying to pitch me to buy from them on LinkedIn. Like, I have less patience for that than I do for my friends. But still, when they're like, hey, Mike, what's going on Saturday? Are you? I know that you said that you were available. Are you still available? And I know what's coming next. I know they're going to be like, hey, we should all go out. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to sit on my butt and watch a movie with my family.
That's right.
But I know that persuasion is coming, just like I know the persuasion is coming when I see that you're a business development rep in LinkedIn on my connection requests.
Yeah, I could tell you when you sent a connection request to me, your face was just all up in like my space. And I thought, this guy is interesting. What a weird dude. I'm going to click on his profile and I want to find out more about this big faced profile guy. And it was actually, it was a little bit of surprise and delight. And, to your point with your headline, it's like, everything's got to match from your picture to your headline to your profile. Like, be authentic in your headline, whatever you have written in there. It's like, that should almost mirror what they're going to see on your page. Don't you think?
100%. Yes. And as authentic as possible, as much as you can be you on LinkedIn, be you, because that's what people, again, it's a networking event. So the persona that you would have at a networking event, have that same persona on LinkedIn. If you make jokes, make jokes. It's okay. Your about section or your headline or whatever it is, your comments, if you're a silly person in real life, go ahead and be a silly person on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I like that. All right, I want to move through these next few questions pretty quickly here. I want to get right to the details. Get to the playbook, Mike. You've shared so much so far. So you mentioned earlier you want to identify that target audience, start engaging with their content, like commenting, being authentic, not just like great posts. It's like, no, read the post, provide value to the post, engage with them, then connect. And so once you connected with someone, the big question, now what? What are some ways to move from just connected to a real conversation without going straight into the pitch slap?
I think the best, first, if you're talking to them on comments and whatnot, like, great way of getting in there. And the first thing you can say is, hey, I love your content. So that's one way of doing it. And just starting a conversation that way. And what do you love about their content? Why you actually, what do you think is actually interesting about it? I mean, thanks for sharing it. But that doesn't get you to a meeting. The thing that can get you closer to a meeting, to me, is I always start with a question. And it's a question that, it's like market research. And if you answer the question, then I'm going to get something out of it, whether I get a meeting or not, because it's going to help my knowledge of the market and what's going on in the market right now. And so I'll ask a question like what I asked at the Staffing Sales Summit: how do you train your salespeople on LinkedIn? I'm always curious about how people are using LinkedIn in business development and staffing today.
Yeah.
Would you mind answering that question for me? And people answer it. They're okay with it if you do it in a certain cadence, right? My cadence is typically like, hey, thanks for connecting with me. I love talking to people in biz dev and staffing, so it's really nice to meet you. Or compliment. You look like somebody who knows about biz dev and staffing, so it's really nice to meet you, period. And for a day. And I don't message them after that, because normal people don't pitch you after that. Or don't, like, just bombard you with way too many texts really fast, right? Think about this text message chain, that you're with a new significant other you're dating, and right, you don't want to go overboard. Don't do that. That's weird.
Red flags
right?
everywhere.
Red flags all over the place. Let me tell you about myself. I love puppies, and no, right? Don't do that. They know you're desperate. Don't be too desperate. So I wait a day. The next day I'll get back to them, and then I'll say to them, like, hey, I'm back. And then I ask the question, and then I wait. And I wait for them to get back to me, and I wait for them over a week to get back to me, because LinkedIn can take a while. A conversation can take a second. They don't get back to me within a week, I'm sending them a follow-up. And the follow-up isn't, hey, following up. It's, we've been noticing this thing in the market. I'm trying to get a sense of it from people who are experiencing it firsthand. So, again, if you haven't got a chance, if you get a chance, let me know what you guys are seeing. Right. And so it's again, you're just trying to get a question answered. And the idea behind this DM messaging sequence is to show that you are not a threat and that you are a real person and not a robot. Those are the things that you want to know that they're active on LinkedIn. Because this DM, and I'll get into that in a sec. Those are the things that you want to find out as you're trying to build out this list. Then they answer you. All right. So I've said about 45% of the people that I DM will eventually answer me. And once they do, then I acknowledge the fact that they just gave advice to a complete stranger, or they told a complete stranger about their business, and that they have done something for me. And if I can ever do anything for them, I have a bunch of clients who are in staffing, and I manage all of their marketing for them. And if you ever want to know what other people are doing, or you want to get a sense of what some of the best practices are in marketing for staffing companies, I would be happy to share what I know. And right, I just pitched you. Everyone who's watching this in staffing, I just pitched you, right? And it was a very soft pitch. It was not it wasn't a, hey, let's get a meeting so that I can sell you marketing services right now. It was just, let's talk. I would love to be able to talk to you because I want to get on your mental list.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I like you just reinforced what you said at the very beginning. It's treat this like a networking event, a real person you're talking to. It's not, I hope this message finds you well. It's like you ask them a question or you send them a message like, wow, I really enjoyed the article you reposted. I had no clue about XYZ. Thank you for sharing. And then you give them time to respond. And you're right. People don't spend the same time on LinkedIn as they do on other social platforms. On average, last data I was looking into, it's about 15 minutes a week. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less now. And so there's a lot of conversation you could have in a 15-minute meeting one-on-one with somebody. But if that's the max time they're spending over a full week, like, yeah, you're going to need to wait a week for them to respond. And 45% may respond. That's pretty good. And then you can start engaging in more conversation from there. That's a great tip.
Yeah. And then, follow up after that is I'm going to once a month reach out to this list. Anybody that I've connected with that's on my ICP, I want to make sure that I'm reaching out to them every month. And I'm going to usually I'm going to lead with value. This is, I don't want to just take, I don't want to ask, I want to give. And Tom Erb said that at the Staffing Sales Summit, and that really stuck with me, like give, take. And so I'm going to give, and I'm going to find an article that I think is useful to them. And it doesn't have to be my article. If you have your own thought leadership, awesome, use it. But if it's somebody else's post, that's also a very authentic thing to do. Is people do it all the time on LinkedIn. They just share a post and you say, hey, check this out. I thought of you when I saw this. I think it's really interesting idea. If you ever want to sit down and talk about it, and how my company does this, same thing, would love to chat. So you're leading with value, you're still asking for a meeting, and you're doing it once a month.
I think that's great. I like that, just kind of play by play, step by step. But so here's the thing. I work in marketing, right? But so all of the salespeople, they're like, but I don't have enough time to do social selling. All right. And so they're like, oh, it like eats up my whole day, this, and that. So realistically, like, what is a good like daily ritual or just like schedule rhythm for someone to stick with actively doing social selling daily, but not burn themselves out?
It's bonkers to me that you don't have enough time to do this, because it doesn't take a lot of time. I'll give you my schedule. I will, when I'm eating lunch, 15 minutes, I'm on LinkedIn and I'm responding to comments that I'm seeing from the people that I follow. And I'm very intentional that I'm only following my ICP and that list that I've created. And if I can. And then typically on now I get work-life balance and everything. I enjoy doing this. It's really addicting to me. So on a Saturday morning, I get up, I stretch, I get my phone, haven't had my coffee yet. I'm in Sales Navigator. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And I'm commenting on people's posts. And that probably takes me, I don't know, an hour to 45 minutes. Once a week, I'm doing that, 45 minutes. Then once a month, I'm sending DMs to people, and I'm pitching them, or doing my soft pitch once a month. So have a DM blitz once a month of your prospect list. I don't think it takes that much time. If you're taking more time than that, then you can. It can take a ton of time if you're posting and you're trying to build up an audience, and that can take a lot more time. But just liking and commenting, 15 minutes a day, maybe 45 minutes one day a week, and a couple of hours once a month to DM.
Yeah, you really can't make an excuse for not finding time to spend a few minutes a day, an hour a week. I've challenged my team to spend 30 minutes a day, every single day, get in there, engage with your ICP, be thoughtful in your comments, be thoughtful in your outreach, have real genuine conversations. Don't be pushy at all. Don't sell. And then just post one thing a day, like, and make it, informative, inspiring, personal, maybe. For every, I first shared with them, for every 4 posts you make, you can have one that's kind of salesy, kind of pitchy. And then last week I changed my mind and I said, you know what? 1 in 10 can be salesy. Like, if that, like, let's have people connect to you. They're naturally going to, if they like you, they like what you're sharing, they're being informed and educated, maybe even inspired or entertained. They're naturally going to just keep checking you out and what you do. And so if they're your ideal audience, then naturally they're gonna reach out to you or respond to your outreach through this process and have a conversation. So yeah, I think there's no excuse for any salesperson. 30 minutes a day, you're gonna be 90% ahead of your peer group if you're doing that.
Yeah. And if you do it this way, you'll be amazed at how much response you get from your audience.
Yeah. All right, we're running out of time. We got so many more questions for you, Mike. I want to ask one more question, and I'll let John Viev ask you one more question. So let's talk about building the momentum. A lot of people are going to hear this and they're going to try it for a few days. Even my sales team, we did our first blitz this week, and the goal was to help them just make it a daily practice. And so I think a lot of people are probably going to give up after a few days because they're like, no one responded to me. No one liked my comment. Like, I commented on 15 people. What's going on? And they're going to give up. So what do you say to someone who's just starting? How long should they stick with it before they start seeing results?
God, forever. I would say that the 15, I'm stuck on the idea of like making 15 comments and nobody responded to your comment. You're bad at commenting. And you need to, I have a template for that, or not a template, but like I have a good prompt for that, for commenting that can help you, write better comments, that you can plop into ChatGPT. But it's all about consistency. It's about, because what ends up happening is someone sees your face and then they see it again and then they see it again. And maybe on the first comment, they're like, I don't know this person. Why are they commenting on my post? And then they see you, and then you like their next post and they're like, oh, there's that person again. And now you commented, another third post comes out and you comment on that. And they're like, okay, this person seems like they're a legitimate follower and not a troll. So I'm going to respond to them. And so it might take a couple of times before you get somebody to actually respond to you. And then the other thing that happens is you start making these connections, and you start making connections with your ideal client, and they are connected to other ideal clients, and they'll see that you are well networked in the space, and that there's even other faces that they trust that they're popping up when it says that I know this person. And so you're naturally going to start experiencing the benefit of that networking effect, and things will start to percolate after a while. Yeah, agreed. 100%.
I love it.
John Viev, I know we're running out of time. Is there anything you want to ask before we wrap it up?
I think if anything, Mike, what would be one thing that someone can start doing today to implement doing social selling? What would be the key thing?
Define your ideal client.
Ooh.
Like, that's number one. Otherwise you're just spinning wheels, right?
Well, I was going to go with Nike and be like, just do it.
Well, there's that, right? Like, start doing it. If you don't know who you're going after, then don't waste your time. Know who you're going after. Know who your audience is, because with that audience, you have a unique selling point. You have unique insight with that audience that no one else has. Somewhere in there, you can do something that everyone else can't do, even though I know we're staffing and we all say we're commoditized, but there are little things that each company does better than other companies in its space. And it might be that you just have a really strong book of business in one area, but that's something that's different. That's something that you can lean on and you can talk about. So, but if you don't know who you're going after, you're going after everybody, then you have no unique anything because there's nothing unique about you. Every one of those audiences might have a different problem, and you need to be able to say how you solve that problem. And you need to be able to do it like over and over and over and over again. And so really like know who you want to be your client and then go out and get them.
I love that. That's not what I thought the answer was going to be, but honestly, I think that is exactly where people need to start defining their ideal client.
I will say, and I know we have like 2 minutes, I will say that the just do it is also really important. Posting, commenting, reaching out to people in a public way is like so cringy and weird, and it doesn't feel right as a human, but do it. Just go do it. You'll just get over that hump, and you'll realize that no one cares and that everyone wants you to comment on their post. And when you do, you're giving them a gift, and they will reciprocate with a connection. Such
a nice dopamine hit when someone comments on your post, unless it's a negative comment, then you're like, oh, crap. Mike, this was a masterclass, man. You took something that for, I think, everyone feels overwhelming. You made it practical, honestly, kind of fun. So you're a fun guy. It's been a treat, and we have to bring you back again because we only got through like 5 of our 25 questions. So
I'm happy to join, man. I'm happy to join. Like I said, like this is my favorite thing because I get to hear myself talk, and so anytime you give me the opportunity to do that, I'm going to jump on it.
And for people who are looking to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn, Mike Bradbury. And then I've got your website on the screen here, typemarketing.com. Marketing is abbreviated, mktg.com, typemarketing.com. If people want to find you, and especially in staffing, if they're looking for assistance in social selling and beyond, I think you'll be able to help them, especially after giving them a step-by-step guide. A lot of people are probably really interested, especially in a year like this where we're still in 27 plus months of consecutive decline in the staffing industry. People are looking for ways to stand out and to grow their business. And I think you just shared some powerful insights that'll help them take that next step in growing their staffing firm.
Glad it was helpful.
Well, thank you so very much, Mike, for joining us today. All right. I hope you all have a fabulous day. We'll see you next time.
See you next Friday. Thanks, everybody.
Six months ago, I get a call from Steve Farrell, who wants to talk about partnering with Yes for our labor needs. It would
change your approach to staffing.
I told him I've already used multiple agencies and have had headaches with each one. So my approach to staffing is just fine.
With multiple agencies, we thought we had our staffing needs covered. Hey, the agency employees didn't show up, so we're short on staff again. I'm sorry.
Dang it. Bupkis. Curses. Fetch.
Hey, an agency sent an employee.
Do you have production experience?
I've produced YouTube videos. I'm hungry. When's my first break?
This is not sustainable. If you want happy customers and a healthy business, something's gotta change. So yes, we tried Yes.